Ooh, what's up, nerds and geeks? My name is OMG, WTF, LOL, FTW, BRB. Welcome back to more Total Extreme Wrestling 2016, playing as the WWF in the year 2002, booking our way through the Invasion Angle, and we're close. We are close to WrestleMania. We just got to get through Nitro, and then it's No Way Out. Which is kind of an interesting name because after, there's really no, whatever. We're not going to get into it. Either way, let's just jump right into this show. You guys have been waiting a long time, so let's do this. We have a total of 2 pre-show bouts to start off the night. Our first pre-show bout is a group of jobbers from the WWF, with Dean Malenko really being the only notable one here. We get a solid 63 here as the One Billy Gunn, Dean Malenko, and Steve Blackman take on the Boogie Knights, Disco Inferno and Alex Wright Das Wunderkid, along with Tank Abbott, who we revealed on the last Sunday Night Heat to be that mystery man. So I think this might be Tank's first match, I'm not sure. Anyway, we have a pre-show bout that had subpar wrestling to it and little heat. Tank Abbott and the Boogie Knights go over the One Billy Gunn, Dean Malenko, and Steve Blackman when Tank Abbott beats Billy Gunn by submission. Dean Malenko was head and shoulders above everybody else here. Disco seemed off his game, but he's getting better at his gimmick. Tank had a in-ring performance of a 44, so he was the worst along with Billy Gunn, who also had a 44. Das Wunderkid with a 58, Disco Inferno with a 55, Steve Blackman with a 51, and Dean Malenko with a 68. Blackman is improving in both flying and performance, so good on you, Steve. And then in the main event of the pre-show, similar to kind of what happened with Triple H on Monday Night Raw, where I haven't really booked him. I didn't have anything for Booker T here tonight, so I figured, why not, we would never see Billy Kidman get a match against Booker T really on the main card right now. So, why not just do it for fun here on the pre-show? 78 solid B rating here, decent pre-show match. Booker T going over Billy Kidman in 9 minutes, 38 seconds with the scissors kick. Unfortunately for Billy, despite, me giving him a chance to shine here, he shows up to be really off his game. 59 in-ring performance still. Booker T with an 89. No worker improvements. And here we go to open up the start of the show with a 100 A-star rating here. Thursday Night Nitro opens up with the color team. I was like, what am I saying here? The color team putting over tonight's main event between Sting and Chris Benoit. Last week on Nitro, Sting laid out the challenge to Chris Benoit after he beat Ric Flair, saying, I'll put up my Royal Rumble spot if you put up your #1 contendership. That way, no matter who goes on to defeat Kurt Angle, if you can beat Kurt Angle for the WCW Championship, that person can go on to be, challenge either The Rock or The Undertaker for the WWF Championship. So there you have that. Anyway, Ric Flair's music goes off, and out comes the Nature Boy himself. He struts his way down to the ringside. The announcers are wondering where Chris Benoit is. Despite it showing him there, don't want to hear show up. He's not coming out with Ric Flair. Of course, the announcers start putting over Ric Flair's match against Sting last week and how it was an historical moment to see those two fight off against each other and the storied rivalry, stuff like that. Anyway, Flair gets in the ring and he goes, Stinger, I know you can hear me. Why don't you come out here and join me? I want to talk to you, man to man. And then that's when Sting's music goes off, and it's showtime because out comes the winner of the 2002 Royal Rumble to join his longtime rival in the ring. Ric Flair thanks him for coming out, tells him it means a lot. Sting goes on to say, and he says, I'd be lying if I said I came alone like you did. Because you see, Rick, you've tricked me so many times that by now I'd be an idiot to trust you. So you'll have to forgive me, but tonight, being such a big night, I had to bring my bat with me. And Sting, of course, opens up his trench coat, pulls out his big black bat, and he kind of points it at Ric Flair, which leads to Flair going, whoa, easy there, Sting. You won't be needing that, because this is just a chat between two men. We then continue on with the notepad here, and he says, you know you don't stand a chance tonight, right? I mean, last week, I won't lie, you caught me off guard, but given my age and our history, it's no surprise you can pull a victory out of your ass every once in a while. But Chris Benoit? Are you out of your mind? Look, I know we've got history as rivals, but I respect the hell out of you, man. Hold on, let me shut my phone off. That way that doesn't go off again. Dang it, sorry about that, guys. Anyway, but I respect the hell out of you, man. And you'd be a fool to step in the ring with a guy we call the Canadian Crippler. Especially with how determined he is. So I'm out here to beg you, for the sake of your health and the sake of your career, call out of this match. And Sting, he's kind of taken aback, and he's just like, Rick, that's touching, man. It really is. I never knew you cared. And in all honesty, Rick, that's all I ever wanted. Just wanted to know that my old pal, Ric Flair, was still my friend. And since I know that I've got my friend back, who needs the WCW title? And then Rick, of course, big smile on his face. He's like, so does that mean you're going to call off the match? And then Rick goes, no, you blathering idiot. How stupid do you think I am? Looking out for my health? That's a funny joke. You're not looking out for me, you're looking out for your protege. Because just like I've done to you after all these years, and after what I did to you last week, that I'm going to do the exact same thing to your precious protege tonight. And that's when, what am I trying to say? And that's when, that's when, and when I win. Okay, that don't make much sense. My dumb ass got excited trying to write this promo. Anyway, and when I win, I'm going to go on to No Way Out and do what your guy couldn't do, and that's beat Kurt Angle, and then I'm going to walk in the WCW as the world champion and the #1 contender for the WWF World Championship, and I'm going to go on to beat The Rock, and I'm going to go on to beat The Undertaker and win this war for WCW once and for all. And that's what you're scared of, Rick, because last week you talk about how determined Chris Benoit is, but last week you saw how damn determined I am. And then Ric Flair, he's taken aback and he says, I know how determined you are, and I know how determined you can be, Stinger. But you don't know my protege. Don't say I didn't warn you. And then that's when Chris Benoit jumps over the barricade, comes running out of nowhere. He attacks Sting from behind, takes him down. Sting, not Sting. Ric Flair joins in, so we have both Ric Flair and Chris Benoit beating down on Sting. That's when Sting pulls out the baseball bat. He, hits Ric Flair right in the gut before swinging it at Chris Benoit. Benoit slides out of the ring to avoid getting hit by the baseball bat. And then Ric Flair, of course, holding his gut. Probably, Benoit holding him up as well. They're all getting out of there. Sting goes to take the mic as they retreat again. And he says, Rick, Benoit, tonight, it's showtime. Woo! And Sting's music goes off. And it's a hyped up segment for tonight's main event. Winner takes on Kurt Angle at No Way Out. Chris Benoit versus Sting. It's going to be one hell of a match. 100 star to open up. Sting getting better at his gimmick. Bobby Heenan still weak, but that's fine. Strong start. Crowd is hot. Great way to start off the night, guys. We then go into a 72 B- backstage segment. We see an excited Chavo Guerrero Jr. alongside his uncle, Eddie Guerrero, in possession of the Canadian Championship and the WCW United States Champion, Edge. Chavo goes on to say, I can't believe that I impressed Commissioner Regal so much that I'm going to get a shot at the Cruiserweight Championship tonight. And then you two, you get your hands on both Storm and Chuck a couple days early. And Eddie, of course, he doesn't seem too excited. He's like, yeah, congrats to you, Chavo. But I'm not going to act like I'm happy to be teaming with him tonight. And Edge kind of taken aback. He's like, the hell is your problem? What, are you mad that I looked out for your nephew while you were acting hurt? Ooh, don't try to twist this on me and make me look like the bad guy. Chavo and I had a plan and it worked. And he holds up the Canadian Championship when he says it worked. And he says, why don't you quit playing like you're the good guy, Holmes? We all heard what you said a few weeks back. Talking about how you'll take care of Lance Storm once you're finished with Chucky. You think I'm some pushover? That I can't take Lance? That I couldn't take the United States Championship from you if I wanted to? And then Chavo, he's like, oh, okay, hey guys, come on. You know, they're just getting a little heated in here, and Chavo goes on to separate them. He's like, come on, guys, don't do this right now. You've both got big nights coming up this Sunday, and you can't afford to let Lance and Chuck Palumbo get in your heads. And then, after No Way Out, then you can settle who's the better champion. And Chavo just looked and goes, yeah, you're right, Chavito. But until then, stay out of my way, gringo. And Eddie walks away while Edge just kind of sits there, you know, looking kind of, you know, pissed off, like, you know, who's this guy think he is? Anyway, I didn't mention it before, but we did have a backstage incident. Jeff Hardy showing up very late today. We gave him a stern warning, letting him know it's not acceptable. You got to be here on time. This actually goes on to improve Jeff's behavior, and Jeff was happy with the, you know, getting his stern warning. I guess he respected it. What else is interesting is Kanyon was happy because, well, Kanyon doesn't like Jeff Hardy, so he was happy that Jeff Hardy got yelled at. So Jeff and Kanyon both happy? That's kind of interesting. Anyway, this angle got the crowd hotter. Edge came across well. Eddie looked good. It did lose heat for both the feuds, but that's okay. This next match is going to be kind of interesting as we jump into it. 78 solid B. That's actually not too bad. The reason I said it was going to be interesting is because Edge and Eddie don't work well as a team. I knew this going into this match. This is the second time we've done this, but for story reasons, I still went ahead with it. And it wasn't a bad match either way. Something did bad happen here, though. Chuck Palumbo sustaining a slack jaw. I don't think that'll keep him out of action, though, but it still sucks for him. Anyway, decent matchup here. Lance Storm and Chuck Palumbo going over Edge and Eddie Guerrero. When Chuck Palumbo, I wish it didn't say submission, beats Edge with the Torture Rack submission hold. Again, like I said, I wouldn't put it as a submission. That's the dumbass game deciding that. It also says that Eddie turned on Edge in this match. That's because I would imagine at one point, Eddie just being kind of like, you know what? I don't care. Like maybe Edge tagged himself in and Eddie's just like, what? And he just gets mad, picks up the Canadian Championship, walks away from Edge, leaving Edge to, you know, pickings for Lance Storm and Chuck Palumbo, pretty much. Eddie Guerrero with a 67 in-ring performance, the worst of the match to my surprise. Edge with a 74, so their chemistry definitely affected them, while Chuck Palumbo had a 75 and Lance Storm with a 77. No worker improvements here. We already knew about Chuck Palumbo's slack jaw. We then move back to a 84B+ backstage segment. We're in the office of Commissioner Lord Steven Regal, and he says, tonight I have decided to give our fans a preview for this Sunday's WCW Tag Team title match between the challengers Power Plant and the champions Kanyon and Hugh Morris. Coming up next, after this commercial break, it'll be a 6-man tag team match as Sean Stasiak and Mark Jinjak, alongside their tag team partner, the man who took out Goldberg last week, the Giant. And then that's when Giant enters the picture looking all menacingly, and he goes on to say, and of course they'll be taking on the WCW Tag Team Champions Kanyon and Hugh Morris, and, well, that's up to Mr. Kanyon and Hugh Morris, because it'll be up to them to find their own tag team partner. That is, of course, if they can find someone to team with them. Good luck to you two gentlemen. We'll see you out there. And Regal kind of giving a short notice, impromptu match, I guess, to Kanyon and Morris, giving him a little bit of a challenge, saying, hey, find yourselves a partner. Anyway, Sean Stasiak getting better at his gimmick. Giant was fantastic, and Sean Stasiak developing better performance. So he made the best of this. Either way, we jump into a 76 B-. This was a during the commercial break segment, so it's being shown, you know, once we come back. Well, here what's happened during the commercial break. Anyway, 76 B- here. Eddie Guerrero backstage. He's giving Chavo some pointers for his upcoming Cruiserweight Championship. When Edge walks up behind him, he pushes him and he says, "What the hell's your problem, man?" And then Eddie goes, "Hey, I told you to stay out of my way, did I not?" And Chavo, he's trying to, like, you know, he's like, guys. And that's when Lance Storm and Chuck Palumbo come in, and they jump both Edge and Eddie from behind, beating them down backstage. Lance Storm, he picks up his Canadian Championship, taking it back, while Stacy, why did I say her name like that? While Stacy Keibler goes on to pick up the United States Championship, and pretty much holds it, taking that ransom as well. She then looks over at Chavo, and she says, "Good luck tonight, Chavo. You're going to need it. That's when the trio walk away with all the gold, leaving Edge and the United States champion Eddie and the United States champion Edge laying there while Chavo goes on the check on them. Edge looked good, Eddie Guerrero came across well, Chavo performed poorly, but that's okay. We then go into our next segment here, which gets a 93, solid A rating here. Good stuff. Regal, Giant, and Power Plant, they're already occupying the ring, waiting, of course, for the tag team champions to come out. Regal then goes on to take the mic, and he says, "Well, Mr. Kanyon, Mr. Morris, your time is up. I gave you gentlemen till we came back from commercial break to either find yourselves a third man to team with you or come out here for your handicap match. I promise these people a No Way Out preview, and they're going to get it no matter what. So let's go, gentlemen." And then a minute or two pass, and out come the WCW Tag Team Champions, Kanyon and Hugh Morris. And Kanyon goes on to take the mic, and he says, "Regal, Regal, Regal. What's the rush, sunshine? We heard you the first time. I know your office may be close to the entryway, but for us in the locker room, we're all the way in the back. So, it takes a minute or two to get out here. We wouldn't want to gas ourselves before our six-man tag team match now." And then Regal goes, "Yes, speaking of your six-man, where is the third?" And then Kanyon goes on to say, "Regal, I just got done telling you how long it takes us to get from the back in the locker room. So if you give him a minute, he'll be here." And then that's when whatever. Kurt Angle's music comes out, and out comes the WCW World Heavyweight Champion to join Kanyon and Hugh Morris' side. I don't know if I actually... Yeah, no, I didn't write a promo for this, even though it did say Kurt. So pretty much out comes Kurt Angle, and Canyon's like, "And here he is." And the three men make their way down to the ring for a six-man tag team match between Power Plant and Giant, Kanyon, Morris, and Kurt Angle. So this deserved better announcing. Mike Tenay was pretty weak, and as was Bobby Heenan. Giant came out looking excellent. Kurt looked good. No worker improvements as we jump into the six-man tag team matchup here, which gets a solid 82 B rating here. We have a bout that had good wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd. Kurt Angle, the WCW World Champion Kurt Angle, and the WCW Tag Team Champions Kanyon and Hugh Morris go over Giant and Power Plant when Kurt Angle defeats Shawn Stasiak. Why does it say using ropes for leverage? We'll just say he beats Shawn Stasiak with an Angle Slam. There we go. During this match, we had Goldberg make his, not really shocking debut, but he makes his return. I don't know why I said debut there anyway. Makes his shocking return, I guess, coming out to attack the Giant. So him and Giant during the match go brawling off elsewhere where the cameras can't see them, leaving Power Plant in the ring. Kurt Angle hits the Angle Slam. 1, 2, 3, Kurt and company win here. Lord Steven Regal did some good work ringside. Shawn Stasiak with a 67. Mark Jindrak with a 70. The Giant with an impressive 92. So it looks like Shawn Stasiak was actually going to be the weakest of this matchup, as Hugh Morris got a 74, Kanyon with an 84, and Kurt Angle with a 94. No worker improvements here as we go to the next segment. The camera crew catches up with Goldberg and the Giant as a brawl is going on backstage between the two. Goldberg and Giant are brawling. Goldberg mostly has the advantage here as Giant's just trying to get away. There is at one point where, if you guys kind of remember the Braun Strowman Roman Reigns segment where Strowman pretty much tosses Reigns off like this ledge in the parking lot, well, that's kind of what we got going on here. Giant is kind of wobbling, and he's on the edge of the parking lot area where Goldberg is ready to spear him right off. We got a bunch of backstage personnel and road agents that get kind of between them because it's not happening here, like don't do this here and all that stuff. Giant, he ends up jumping off the ledge. He gets in a car and he gets out of there while all these people are holding Goldberg back. Goldberg just screaming at Giant as he's walking away. And he's like, "You're next, you giant ass! No Way Out, you're next!" And pretty much that teases that at No Way Out we will see Goldberg and Giant finally fight off. 99 A-star rating for the mini brawl here. Goldberg came out looking excellent. Giant was good. Good stuff happening here, guys. Everybody was weak, unfortunately. As we jump into our next segment, this is just a little freestyle segment, nothing too special. 81 solid B. Ric Flair is just giving Chris Benoit some tips and advice going into his match against Sting. He notices the cameraman and he tells him, "Hey, get out of here. You don't need to hear this." So pretty much a cameraman trying to sneak on Ric Flair and Chris Benoit as it backfires. We then go to a 69 C+ rating here. We're backstage in a dimly lit room with the flock. Bossman and Perry Saturn stand menacingly behind the leader of the flock, Raven, while he sits in his chair alongside the WWF Women's Champion Daphne, who is sitting on his lap. A light bulb is swinging over their heads as always, and that's when the WCW Cruiserweight Champion Vampiro crawls out from underneath Raven's chair, not chair, sorry, didn't mean to make that plural, and he stands up to speak. Blood falls out of his mouth as he goes on to speak, and he says, "Little itty bitty tiny widow Chavo Guerrero Jr. You were quite impressive last week. So impressive that you've been awarded a title match with me. Some reward for you. If you've seen the things I'm willing to do, if you've seen the things I've done in the past, you would not be excited about this match. But much like Billy and much like Tori, you'll soon find out, and I look forward to adding your name to the list of men I've terrorized. I wish you luck, but we both know I'd be lying." Quote Raven, "Run. Nevermore." And Vampiro gets his chance to talk. He wanted to go off script, so I let him go off script, and it worked out for him. He clearly enjoyed his freedom going off script. It probably would have been a higher rated promo if it wasn't about Chavo Guerrero Jr., but that's fine. Still 69 C+. I'm happy with it, especially for a Cruiserweight feud. Vampiro came across well and kept his Billy Kidman feud going on. We move on to the Cruiserweight Championship match, which does a very impressive 79 solid B rating here. Like, wow, good on you guys. Very impressive. Bout that had decent wrestling, but not much weight and heat. Vampiro goes on to defeat Chavo Guerrero Jr. in 8 minutes, 15 seconds, with the nail in the coffin, making his second defense of the Cruiserweight Championship. Chavo Guerrero and Vampiro have great chemistry, which helped their match, of course. It showed in their performance. Great chemistry between the two. Wow. Chavo Guerrero with a a 66 in-ring performance with Vampiro's 70. No worker improvements as we move on to the next segment here, which gets a 75 B-. After the match is over, Vampiro slides out of the ring, but never takes his eyes off of the downed Chavo Guerrero. He then slides back in the ring with a burlesque bag in his mouth now. He crawls over to Chavo Guerrero, and he then sits him up as he opens up and pours the bag out as a, bunch of thumbtacks go falling out as a, unconscious Chavo. They just fall down in front of his face, so he doesn't even really see it happening. He then forces Chavo Guerrero up to his feet. He sets him up to hit him with the nail in the coffin. If I'm pretty sure it's what the move I'm thinking of. I think it's just a razor's edge, but I could be wrong. Anyway, he's about to, toss Chavo into the thumbtacks, and that's when Billy Kidman's theme music goes off. Remember, Billy said that he would be back this week, so his music goes off, and Vampiro drops Chavo, not onto the thumbtacks, just drops him as he turns his attentions over to the entryway to see Tori Wilson standing there. There is no Billy Kidman because Tori points to behind Vampiro. Vampiro then turns around and gets taken down by a crossbody from the returning Billy Kidman, who brawls with Vampiro for a bit before hitting a backflip drop kick. So pretty much he does, hits a drop kick while doing a backflip off of him, sending Vampiro back first into the thumbtacks. He bumps into them, sells, and he quickly rolls out of the ring. It's Vampiro, so it's not like the thumbtacks are that bad to him, but like it would be to someone like Chavo or Billy Kidman. Kidman then grabs the Cruiserweight Championship. He holds it up while Vampiro's just kind of like selling off to the back. He tosses it over at Vampiro before celebrating with the crowd, getting hyped for the upcoming Cruiserweight Championship match between them at No Way Out. Tori Wilson came across well, gained some heat to the Billy Kidman-Vampiro feud, and we move on to the next segment, which is just the freestyle segment here as the announcers announce that Goldberg versus the Giant has been officially announced for No Way Out. So there you have that, 75 B-. We then go to yet another freestyle segment here. I could have wrote something down, but I could just get it across. I didn't really feel like it. 78 solid B. We see Sting. He's getting ready for the upcoming #1 contendership match against Chris Benoit. And that's when Diamond Dallas Page enters, and he goes, Hey, Sting, I just wanted to come out here. I wanted to let you know that Ric Flair and Benoit, they're dirty. Benoit was dirty this entire time to earn himself the number one contendership, screwing both me and Book over tonight. I ain't going to let them do the same for you. I've got your back tonight pretty much if things go south. So DDP knows that Ric Flair is probably going to get involved, and DDP's telling Sting, if Flair gets involved, I'm going to get involved. We jump into our main event of the night with an 89 solid A rating here. Hell yes. And a superb match. Sting goes over Chris Benoit in 16 minutes, 18 seconds. There's a lot of interference as Ric Flair got involved. Like I said, Diamond Dallas Page also got involved. Either way, Sting beats Chris Benoit. I'd imagine hits the Scorpion Death Drop into the Scorpion... what is it called? Oh, the Stinger Splash. That's what I meant. He hits the Stinger Splash into the Scorpion Death Drop, pins Chris Benoit probably 1, 2, 3. Superb match, like they said. 89 solid A rating here. Sting goes over Chris Benoit, and Sting will go on to face Kurt Angle at No Way Out. Sting with an in-ring performance of a 74. I know a lot of you guys are kind of concerned with Sting right now because he's not delivering numbers like someone like Chris Benoit is with an in-ring performance of a 92. But I'm more of a story-based guy anyway, so he's still delivering A matches with guys, at their best. So I'm pretty confident we can still get Sting up there. Either way, Benoit is improving in performance. We then go on to our... See, look at this. He still gives us 99 star ratings. 99 A-star rating to end off the show. Sting having just won his match against Chris Benoit. He then goes on to take the mic and he says, Chris, I know you just lost, but I want to thank you for one hell of a match. But now, I've got something to say to a certain Olympic gold medalist. Kurt Angle, would you please come out here and join me in the middle of this ring, please? And a minute or two pass, and Kurt Angle's music hits. Out comes the WCW World Champion, who, of course, hesitantly makes his way down to the ring. He's about to enter the ring with the guy he's fighting at No Way Out. Sting, of course, he lets him know. He goes, don't worry, Kurt, I won't bite. I just want to talk. In fact, I even got you your own mic. And he hands Kurt the mic. Kurt thanks him. He says, thank you. And Sting tells him he's welcome. And Kurt then, they kind of stare at each other for a few minutes. Maybe not a few minutes, few seconds, I should say. And then Kurt goes on to say, so, what do you want? Sting goes on to say, Kurt, I want to start off by saying I admire you. I think what you're trying to do is honestly great. A company merger between the two? Hell, all three of the companies? May be what's best. But Kurt, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but come this Sunday, I'm going to be the guy who wakes you up from this dream. And let's bring up our handy-dandy notepad here as we get on to our final promo of the night, where Kurt Angle responds saying, both Chris and Ric Flair said the exact same thing. But I'm actually a little confused because you just said to me that you think the company merger is what's best, and yet you're fighting against it? Why? I thought you were smarter than that. And Sting goes on to say, well, Kurt, you're right. I do believe a company merger is what's best. But you see, my captain, Shane McMahon, doesn't believe in a merger. And at the end of the day, I fight for WCW. I breathe and bleed WCW. And come No Way Out, I'm taking WCW's gold back. And then I'm going on to WrestleMania, and I'm going to beat The Rock, or I'm going to beat The Undertaker to unify both the world titles, ending this war once and for all with WCW standing on top. And Kurt, he looks around, takes the mic again, and he goes, Sting, I've always respected you. And I can't hate you for sticking by your team. But come No Way Out, I'm going to prove you wrong. Just like I've done Booker T, Chris Benoit, Ric Flair, and Shane O'Mac. But until then, best of luck to you. And that's when Kurt Angle extends his hand. Sting, he looks down at the hand, he shakes it back. The two stare down each other, shaking each other's hands to end off the show, with Kurt Angle holding up the World Championship. Last thing you see, pretty much, is the two, Sting and Angle standing eye to eye, World Championship up in the air. as these two are going, about to go to war. Anyway, everybody at the announce team is still pretty weak here. Even Dusty Rhodes. Kurt Angle came across well, gained heat to the Angle Sting storyline as we end off the show to get a 94 solid A rating here, increasing our popularity in 20 regions. Good stuff all around. And there you have Chaos, who impressed fans of XPW. I think Chaos, wasn't he in Wrestling Society X? Looks like it. Fantastic reviews for Nitro. They got all of this good stuff happening here. Chuck Palumbo, he had his injury. He's still believed to be going on, so there you have it. Chuck Palumbo, like we already talked about it. Billy Gunn, I'm not happy with how I've been booked. I don't care. Ooh, Kurt Angle says Alex Wright is pretty good in the ring. You should push the kid. Das Wunder Kid, baby. All right, what do we got here? Ooh, an incident involving Vampiro. That's not good. Vampiro has been identified as a steroid user. Because there's so many steroid users, I am going to go ahead and fine him because that's just the rules. What else choice do I have? If I suspended every single one of my steroid users, I wouldn't have a roster pretty much. Maybe after post-invasion we'll do something like that, but as of right now, no. I am going to go ahead and... I don't know why DDP's mad, but I'm going to give him a bonus because I don't want him to be mad. Oh, he's still annoyed. Alright, that's fine. Give him another bonus here real quick. There we go. And, yeah, so we got Sunday Night Heat. Heat should be a breeze. And then after Heat, it's No Way Out, baby. So we're inching closer and closer to WrestleMania, guys. And I'm getting more excited as we move on. Anyway, that's going to be the end of this episode. Hope you guys have enjoyed. If you have, do me a favor. Leave me a comment. Leave me a like. Subscribe if you have not already. Don't forget to share this video with your friends, your Facebooks, your Twitters, all the dang social media accounts out there. Whatever the kids are using today, share it to it. Help the channel grow. Greatly appreciate it as always. Share this video with someone you think will like it. Definitely would appreciate more people who like it than just some random trolls. Anyway, my name's Benoit, WTF, LOL, FTW, BRB. I will see you guys for Sunday Night Heat and No Way Out, which will be uploaded this Sunday. Promise you guys that. Either way, have a good one, guys.